You think you know Tokyo. You've seen the photos, the neon lights, the crowds, the sushi. You've probably watched a dozen travel videos about it, and every single one of them told you the same things: Shibuya Crossing, Mount Fuji, cherry blossoms. But here's what none of them told you. Tokyo, a city of 37 million people, has almost no street names. Not a few streets, not the back alleys. We're talking about nearly the entire city. If you dropped yourself into a random Tokyo neighborhood right now, you would have absolutely no idea where you are, and neither would most locals. But that's just the beginning. Tokyo is also the city with more Michelin-starred restaurants than any other place on Earth. It has vending machines that sell mystery objects wrapped in white paper. It installed blue lights in its subway stations, and those lights saved hundreds of lives. It has a hotel run entirely by robots. And somewhere in its outskirts, there is an escalator so small it holds a Guinness World Record for being the shortest one ever built. In the next 10 minutes, everything you thought you knew about Tokyo is about to change. Let's go. Before we dive into the secrets, let's talk about what Tokyo actually is, because most people have no idea how extraordinary this city really is just on a basic level. Tokyo wasn't always Tokyo. For most of its history, it was a small coastal settlement called Edo, a name that means estuary in Japanese. For centuries, it was nothing more than a modest fishing village at the edge of Tokyo Bay. Then, in the early 1600s, a powerful warlord named Tokugawa Ieyasu chose Edo as the seat of his military government, and the city began to grow. By the 1700s, Edo had already become one of the largest cities in the entire world, with over 1 million inhabitants at a time when London had only 600,000. Then came 1868. The Emperor Meiji took power, ended the era of the samurai, and transformed Japan into a modern nation almost overnight. The city was renamed Tokyo, meaning Eastern Capital, and it never looked back. Today, the Greater Tokyo area is home to more than 38 million people. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire population of Canada, packed into a single metropolitan area. And yet somehow, it works. The trains run on time. The streets are clean. The crime rate is one of the lowest of any major city in the world. Tokyo covers about 2,194 square kilometers, has 23 special wards, and is divided into hundreds of neighborhoods, each with its own personality, its own food, its own vibe. Visiting Tokyo is not visiting one city, it's visiting dozens of cities at the same time. And it all sits on top of one of the most seismically active zones on the planet. Tokyo experiences minor earthquakes almost every single week. The city has been destroyed by earthquakes before, most devastatingly in 1923, when the Great Kanto earthquake killed over 140,000 people. And yet, Tokyo rebuilt every single time. Now let's get into the first secret, and this one will genuinely mess with your head. Tokyo has no street names. I don't mean a few streets. I don't mean the small ones. I mean that the overwhelming majority of streets in Tokyo, in a city of 37 million people, have no name at all. Zero. Nothing on the sign, because there is no sign. Here's how it works. In most cities around the world, New York, London, Paris, you navigate by streets. You say, I'm on 5th Avenue, or turn left on Baker Street. The street is the reference point. In Tokyo, the street doesn't matter. What matters is the block. The city is divided into numbered blocks called chome. Each block has a number, and each building inside that block also has a number. So a Tokyo address looks something like this: Shinjuku, 3 chome, Block 7, Building 14. You find the neighborhood, then the block, then the building. Simple in theory, absolutely chaotic in practice. But here's where it gets really strange. The buildings inside each block are not numbered in order of their position. They're numbered in the order they were built. So building number 1 might be right next to building number 47, and building 48 might be across the block next to building 3. There is no logic that makes visual sense on the ground. Even Japanese people get lost. Delivery drivers in Tokyo are considered highly skilled professionals because navigating the city's address system is genuinely difficult. When Google Maps launched in Japan, it became an overnight sensation, not because it showed traffic, but because it could actually find addresses that locals couldn't. Now, here's the interesting part. Why did Japan never change this system? The answer is cultural. In Japanese urban planning, streets are not considered important landmarks. Buildings are. The block is the fundamental unit of the city, not the road. Streets exist to connect blocks. They are not destinations in themselves. And in a strange way, this creates something beautiful. Without street names, Tokyo has no main drags, no avenues of prestige. Every alley, every narrow path between buildings has equal status. The city is designed to be explored, not navigated, which might explain why getting lost in Tokyo is one of the best experiences a traveler can have. If you ever visit, do yourself a favor. Put your phone away, pick a direction, walk. You'll find a ramen shop that's been open for 80 years, a cat cafe tucked into the second floor of an office building, a shrine hidden between two convenience stores. Tokyo rewards the curious, and now you know why the channel is called what it is. Alright, let's talk about the records, because Tokyo doesn't just break records, it holds them the way other cities hold traditions, quietly, confidently, and with extraordinary precision. Record number 1. Food. Tokyo has more Michelin-starred restaurants than any other city on Earth. As of the latest Michelin Guide, Tokyo holds over 200 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star restaurants. More than Paris, more than New York, more than London. The entire country of Japan has over 400 Michelin stars. France, which practically invented fine dining, has around 600 for the whole country. Tokyo alone accounts for a massive chunk of that. And here's what makes it even more remarkable. You don't need to spend a fortune to eat extraordinarily well in Tokyo. A bowl of ramen at a local shop can cost as little as 800 yen. That's roughly $5 US. A conveyor belt sushi lunch costs around 1,500 yen. You can have one of the greatest meals of your life for less than $10. Tokyo is the only city in the world where cheap food and Michelin-starred food coexist in the same neighborhood, sometimes in the same building. Record number 2. Punctuality. The Tokyo Metro and Japan Railway operate with a punctuality that borders on the obsessive. Trains run every 2 to 3 minutes during peak hours. The average annual delay per train? Less than 1 minute. If a Tokyo train arrives more than 5 minutes late, the operator issues a formal written apology. And passengers can use that document to justify being late to their employers. In 2017, a West Japan Railway train departed 25 seconds early. The company issued a public apology, called it an inconvenience to customers, and launched an internal investigation. 25 seconds early was considered a serious operational failure. Record number 3. Vending machines. There are approximately 5.5 million vending machines across Japan. In Tokyo, you encounter one roughly every 12 meters. That's one machine for every 23 people in the city. And these aren't just machines selling soda and chips. Tokyo's vending machines sell hot ramen, fresh eggs, live lobsters, umbrellas, neckties, books, flowers, and, my absolute favorite, mystery boxes. Wrapped in plain white paper, no label, no description. You put in your coins, you get a random object. Nobody knows what's inside. They sell out regularly. Record number 4. Shibuya Crossing. At peak hours, typically around 6 to 8 p.m. on weekdays, over 2,500 people cross the Shibuya intersection simultaneously from every direction, diagonally, straight across, all at once. And in the entire history of the crossing, there has never been a major collision or stampede. People navigate around each other instinctively, without pushing, without shouting, without looking at their phones. It is, in the most literal sense, organized chaos, and it is one of the most extraordinary things you will ever see in any city on Earth. Now we get to the secrets, the things that almost no travel channel ever talks about, the parts of Tokyo that don't make it onto postcards, but that tell you more about the city than any landmark ever could. Secret number 1, the blue lights. In 2009, the East Japan Railway Company began installing blue LED lights on the edges of train station platforms across Tokyo. At first, most people assumed it was just an aesthetic choice, a design decision. Tokyo is, after all, a city obsessed with design, but it wasn't aesthetic. It was preventive. The blue lights were installed specifically to reduce suicide attempts on the train network, and it worked. A study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders in 2013 analyzed data from 71 stations over a 10-year period and found that the blue lights were associated with an 84% reduction in suicide incidents on platforms where they were installed. 84%. The hypothesis is that blue light activates a calming response in the human nervous system, particularly in people experiencing acute psychological distress. Tokyo, without announcing it, without making it a campaign, without any fanfare, quietly saved hundreds of lives with a lighting choice. Today, transit systems in the UK, South Korea, and several other countries have followed Tokyo's lead. Secret number 2. The Robot Hotel. The Hen-Na Hotel, and which translates brilliantly to Strange Hotel, opened in Tokyo's Ginza district and became the world's first hotel staffed almost entirely by robots. The front desk is managed by humanoid robots that speak English, Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. They blink, they turn their heads, they smile. Check-in is handled through facial recognition. No keys, no cards, no human interaction required unless you specifically want it. Robotic arms in the cloakroom store your luggage. In-room smart assistants control the temperature, lights, and television. The hotel currently holds a Guinness World Record as the world's first robot-staffed hotel. A standard room costs around 8,000 to 15,000 yen per night, roughly 50 to 100 US dollars. Extremely affordable for what is genuinely a one-of-a-kind experience. Secret number 3, the world's shortest escalator. In the basement level of the Mores Shopping Center in Kawasaki, a city that sits just south of Tokyo and is considered part of the greater metropolitan area, there is an escalator. It is 83.4 centimeters tall, 5 steps. It takes approximately 3 seconds to ride from bottom to top. It exists, as far as anyone can tell, purely because the floor elevation changed slightly during a renovation, and someone decided an escalator was the solution. It has held the Guinness World Record for the world's shortest escalator since 1989. And yes, people travel specifically to ride it. There is usually a small line. Here's the thing that really sets Tokyo apart from every other city in the world. It's not the size. It's not the food. It's not even the punctuality of the trains. It's the fact that Tokyo somehow manages to be simultaneously ancient and futuristic. And it does it without conflict, without contradiction. Old and new don't fight each other in Tokyo. They coexist. A 400-year-old Shinto shrine sits between a convenience store and a robotics laboratory. And nobody finds that strange. Tokyo is already living in what most cities are still planning for. Entire neighborhoods operate on cashless payment systems. The city's water infrastructure is managed by an underground tunnel network, so vast and engineered with such precision that Tokyo has one of the lowest rates of water loss through leakage of any major city on Earth. The tunnel system, known as the Metropolitan Area Outer Underground Discharge Channel, is so large that it has been nicknamed the Underground Cathedral. And it protects Tokyo from flooding during typhoon season with almost perfect efficiency. Then there's the Tokyo Skytree. Standing at 634 meters, it is the tallest structure in Japan and the second tallest in the world. It was built on one of the most earthquake-prone pieces of land on the planet, and its central column is designed using the same anti-seismic principles as traditional Japanese pagodas, which have survived earthquakes for centuries. Ancient engineering, modern materials, classic Tokyo. The observation deck sits at 450 meters, and on a clear day, you can see all the way to Mount Fuji, 100 kilometers away. Entry costs around 2,100 yen, about 14 US dollars, worth every single yen. Tokyo is not just the largest city in the world. It is the most functional large city in the world. And if you pay attention, it will teach you something about how humans can actually organize themselves at scale, with care, with precision, and with extraordinary respect for each other's time. Tokyo is proof that a city can be massive and still feel personal, chaotic and still feel safe. ancient, and still feel like the future. It's a city where you can eat a $5 bowl of ramen next to a businessman who just paid $300 for his lunch. And both of you had one of the best meals of your life. Where trains arrive to the second, streets have no names, and blue lights quietly save lives on platforms that millions of people use every single day. Every corner of Tokyo has a story, and we've barely scratched the surface. Next week on Globe Curious, we're going somewhere completely different. A city in North Africa where someone decades ago decided to paint every single building the same shade of blue. Nobody fully agrees on why. The reasons range from practical to spiritual to political. And the result is one of the most visually stunning places on Earth. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And drop in the comments right now. If you could live in any city in the world, would Tokyo be on your list? Yes, no, or absolutely yes? Let me know below. I'll see you in the next city.